The morning sun cast long shadows across the ancient ruins as Trell carefully made his way through the crumbling structures. Dust particles danced in the beams of light that broke through the collapsed ceiling. The young Valeni scientist adjusted his breathing mask and continued deeper into what his people called the Ancestors' Vault, a massive complex of technology from a forgotten era. Trell's four-fingered hands brushed away centuries of dust from a control panel. His pale blue skin contrasted with the dark metal. Unlike most of his colleagues, Trell believed in fieldwork. He wanted to touch history, not just read about it. "Find anything interesting today?" came a voice through his communicator. "Not yet, Director Mira," he replied, brushing more dust away. "But I'm deeper in the eastern section than anyone has gone before." Director Mira had been his mentor for 5 cycles, and she trusted his instincts, however unconventional they seemed. "Just remember, you've got until sunset. Then security pulls you out. Safety protocols." "Understood," Trell said, though he had no intention of leaving until he found something worth the risk. 3 hours later, his persistence paid off. Behind a collapsed wall, Trell found a sealed chamber. The door was made of a material their tools couldn't identify. Inside, the room was pristine, untouched by time. At its center sat a pedestal with a mysterious device, pulsing faintly. Roughly the size of his torso, it had no visible controls. Its metallic surface gleamed with an inner light. "Director Mira, you need to see this," he called excitedly. Within the hour, a team of scientists had assembled around the artifact. Scanners buzzed, lights flickered, the air buzzed with tension. "It's still operational," Mira whispered, eyes reflecting the device's glow. "But what is it?" one asked. Trell pointed to markings on the base. "These symbols, none matched known Valeni scripts. This might be alien." Professor L narrowed his eyes. "We've been through this. There's no conclusive evidence of contact with other species." "Enough," Mira interrupted. "Whatever it is, it's important. We transport it to Central Lab." 2 days later, the device sat under scrutiny. Its energy source eluded understanding. "It generates energy without any fuel," Trell explained, pointing to a hologram. "And these structures, it looks like a transmitter, but it uses frequencies we've never seen." That evening, alone in the lab, Trell modified a scanner to emit a pulse sequence. When the pulse hit the device, panels slid open, revealing controls. Symbols shimmered in holograms. "It worked," Trell breathed. He touched a surface, and the device activated. A beam of light shot upward through the roof. Alarms sounded. Mira and security burst in. "What did you do?" she demanded. "I activated it, but I can't shut it down." Monitoring systems lit up. The device was broadcasting. A powerful signal far into space. "It's some kind of beacon," Professor L muttered. "The message is gone, and we can't stop it." 3 days later, it stopped. The glow dimmed. "The message is sent," Trell said, solemn. "But who is it meant for?" Far across the void, ships changed course. The Valeni High Council convened an emergency session beneath the crystalline dome of Yalara Prime. Storms raged beyond the translucent glass, a mirror to the tempest growing in the hearts of the gathered leaders. Director Mira stood before them, her voice firm. "The artifact emitted a signal beyond our capacity to measure. We don't know who it was meant for, but we've lit a flare in the dark. Something will see it." Grand Elder Herrick tapped the stone before him. "You have tampered with powers our ancestors sealed away. You've risked everything." Mira didn't flinch. The vault was meant to be explored. Trell only followed the logic of science. Eyes turned to Trell, seated quietly at the edge of the dais. He rose, calm but determined. "We cannot remain afraid of the unknown. If our ancestors feared knowledge, we'd still be crawling in caves." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Herrick scoffed. "And if this signal brings war?" "We prepare," Trell answered, "but we also learn." In orbit, Valeni sensor satellites began to detect anomalies, small gravitational fluctuations, distortions in FTL wavefronts. At first they thought it was noise. Then came the first sighting. An unmanned probe, ancient in design, yet moving with terrifying speed, broke into the system. Its trajectory was straight toward Yalara Prime. Defense systems intercepted it in orbit. The wreckage bore no recognizable emblem, but deep inside its casing, scorched by entry, was a glyph. Human. Panic swept the scientific community. Trell stood with Mira as the wreckage was analyzed. It responded, he whispered. The signal reached someone. Mira nodded slowly. This isn't just archaeology anymore. We've made contact. Now we see who answers next. A week later, a second signal arrived, not from the probe, but deep from interstellar space. It was clean, powerful, and unmistakably directed. A holographic image flickered into being across every Valeni network. A face appeared, humanoid, sharp eyes under a sleek visor. Behind him, the bulk of massive warships. This is Admiral Jara of the United Terran Vanguard, the voice declared. Your signal activated a Class 9 containment beacon. The artifact you accessed is classified under interstellar treaty accords. It was not meant to be found. We are en route. Estimated arrival, 12 days. A pause. Then, prepare for inspection. Do not interfere, and do not attempt to hide the device. The transmission ended. Silence returned. But in the skies, something vast was already moving. The countdown began the moment the transmission ended. Admiral Jara's message spread like wildfire across Valeni territories. For many, it was the first proof of extraterrestrial life. For others, it was a declaration of occupation. The Valeni military scrambled, defense grids powered up, orbital patrols multiplied, and panic gripped the populace. Cities held emergency drills. Children practiced shelter-in-place routine, while parents stocked reserves. In the Prime Academy, Trell lectured students on first contact scenarios, but even he felt the mounting pressure. "Oh, are they hostile?" one student asked. Trell hesitated. "They don't need to be. If they think we're a threat, that's enough." In orbit, the Valeni Deep-Range Telescope captured its first image of the fleet. Over 200 vessels, each marked with the Terran Vanguard insignia, a shield wrapped in flame. At the heart of the formation, Jara's flagship, Resolute Dawn. "Why send a Warfleet for a relic?" Mira asked during a meeting with Council defense advisors. "Because they're afraid," Trell said, "of what it might mean, of what we might become if we unlock it." 12 days became 6, then 4. The Vanguard didn't slow. Skirmishes flared at the edge of Valeni space. Small listening outposts blinked offline. Communications were jammed. No declaration of war, just encroachment. The Valeni Council debated evacuation. Some proposed surrender. But Mira had another idea. "We show them we're not alone in this," she said. "There are others in this galaxy who've watched Earth rise. Some fear them. Some remember them." Trell traveled to the archives beneath the university. There, among ancient records, he found what he sought: fragmented logs from before the silence. Stories of a war humanity had once fought, of a weapon hidden across stars, and of a warning: if the beacon lights again, the sleepers will wake. He stared at the artifact, now sealed in a containment dome. It pulsed with faint energy, as if waiting. "We didn't just wake the Terrans," he whispered. "We woke everything." The ancient comms array on Valen's southern pole had not functioned for centuries. Until it did. Engineer Kiran, part of a small restoration crew, was the first to see it. A silent activation, lights blinking in a sequence older than their written language. "Mira needs to see this," he whispered, already transmitting the feed. Within hours, Mira and Trell stood inside the frost-covered structure, staring at a projection none of them had expected. A message, fragmented but unmistakably alien. A voice, guttural, staticky. "Echo received. Coordinates traced. The Watchers stir. Shield the heart." "What the hell is this?" Mira murmured. Trell's face went pale. "Proof that someone else heard us, not just Earth." The council was divided. Some insisted the message was corrupted noise. Others feared a second force, worse than the Terrans, was inbound. But Trell argued, "We can't dismiss it. If Earth classified that artifact as a containment beacon, maybe it wasn't meant to summon them. Maybe it was meant to warn them. Warn them of what? Herrick snapped. Trell hesitated. Of what else it could wake. Admiral Jara's fleet arrived in system. Without firing a shot, Resolute Dawn dropped into orbit. Thousands of defense satellites powered up across Valeni space. Valeni dreadnoughts rose to meet them, silent but ready. A transmission came. This is Terran Vanguard Fleet 1. Do not resist. We are authorized to neutralize if provoked. You are in possession of a high-threat xenotech beacon. Prepare for immediate inspection. Mira, speaking for her people, responded with steel in her voice. We will not yield sovereignty. We invite dialogue, but not conquest. Silence followed. Then another voice broke across the system, a signal not Terran, not Valeni. This one carried weight, as if spoken by something older than stars. Contact acknowledged. Beacon lineage verified. Vanguard not alone. Consequences imminent. The sky went quiet. Jara's fleet paused. Mira turned to Trell. What did we really call? The arrival of the unknown signal disrupted every system in orbit. Even the Terran ships, so sleek and impenetrable, hesitated. Their movements slowed. Their formations drifted. Inside the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Jara watched static bloom across her command screens. Her officers scrambled. Jamming, she demanded. No, ma'am, replied her comms tech. This is something else. The signal isn't blocking us. It's rewriting the spectrum. Jara narrowed her eyes. Bring the fleet to red alert and prepare for surface descent. We're ending this confusion face to face. On Valen's surface, Mira met with Trell in a hastily assembled delegation. Panic rippled through the capital. The unknown transmission was on every screen, repeating only once every hour. Coordinates traced. Shield the heart. Trell stood beside a hologram of the artifact. The heart must mean the device. We have to move it underground. Deep, now. Mira hesitated. And if it's too late? The Terran dropships pierced the atmosphere like thunderbolts, 12 in total, descending to key Valeni strongholds. But before they could land, something else arrived. A shimmer in orbit. Then 20 dark, sleek vessels broke from subspace. No warning, no ID signatures, no comms. Their shape was unlike anything in the galactic record. Curved, fluid, obsidian black holes that seemed to drink light. Inside the Resolute Dawn, Claxons wailed. Unknown contacts, they match no known civilizations. Orders, Admiral. Jara stared at the screen. So the legends were true. Deploy defensive measures, but do not fire unless fired upon. The newcomers did not speak, but they moved with purpose, forming a loose perimeter around Valen. And then a message appeared. To the vessels of flame, you walk in the ashes of your own making. The echo was not yours to answer. Leave. The Terran fleet held position. Jara clenched her fists. They're issuing us an ultimatum on a Valeni world. Mira, watching from the planetary command tower, turned to Trell. The Warfleet was coming for us, but they weren't the only ones listening. Trell nodded grimly. The Watchers have returned. No shots had been fired, yet the war felt closer than ever. Above Valen, the triangular silhouettes of the Watcher ships eclipsed the stars. Not a single energy signature matched Terran or Valeni registers. They didn't power weapons. They didn't broadcast threats. They simply watched. Jara stood on the bridge of Resolute Dawn, silent. What are they waiting for? Her science officer replied, Ma'am, they're scanning us, but not for weapons. For genetics. A hush fell. Jara's expression darkened. They're searching for who we are. On the surface, Trell and Mira raced to relocate the artifact. Inside a magnetic containment rig, it pulsed in sync with the Watcher fleet's orbital pattern. The signals matched, sine waves aligning like a cosmic password. Trell stared. They're not just observers. They're custodians, guardians of whatever this beacon once protected. Across the system, all communications blacked out. Then, a singular broadcast erupted. A voice, not mechanical, not human. It filled every channel with clarity beyond translation. The flame kind have violated the accord. The echo is not theirs to summon. This world is under intercession. Shah, Yara barked. Fleet, defensive posture, now! But the Watchers did not attack. Instead, they projected holographic visions across Valeni skies. Scenes of Earth, burning, rebuilding, rising into space. Scenes of the first Terran expansion, its war, its treaties, its buried relics. Then an image of the artifact. This was sealed, not to imprison, but to warn. You have cracked the seal. Trell turned to Mira. They're not here for conquest. They're here to contain us. All of us. Within the Watcher ships, a new signal flared. A countdown. What happens at 0? Mira asked. Trell shook his head. I think they're going to test us. The eye was open, and it would judge them all. The countdown reached its final hour. Watcher's ships aligned in a geometrical pattern, 12 vessels forming a ring in high orbit. In their center, a sphere of pale energy coalesced, pulsing with growing force. From the resolute Dawn, Admiral Jara stared in silence. It's not a weapon, her science officer muttered. It's a lens, a filter. Jara's jaw tightened. A test. On the surface, panic spread. Valeni citizens clustered in shelters. Mira ordered all operations paused. Trell sat beside the artifact, fingers tracing its glowing sigils. They're not destroying us, he whispered. They're studying responses, reactions, ethics under pressure. Mira knelt beside him. Then we show them who we are, not just with words, but with action. Without warning, the Watchers initiated their trial. A shard of energy descended from orbit and struck a remote Valeni settlement, one chosen not for military value, but for its vulnerability. Seconds later, the systems went dark. No communications, no power, no contact. Jara gritted her teeth. They're watching who comes to help. Before the council could debate, Mira's command vessel lifted from the capital. I won't let them die to prove a point, she said. Trell joined her, the artifact secure aboard. As they reached the settlement, Watcher drones hovered, silent, translucent, observing. Mira's team restored power, delivered aid, and defended against storms and quakes triggered by the energy strike. All without aggression. The Watchers responded. A second message resonated across every mind, not through sound, but feeling. Observed compassion, observed cohesion, observed divergence from origin flame. The energy sphere dimmed. Jara, watching from orbit, allowed herself a breath. But then another fleet appeared. Not Terran, not Watcher, a third force. And it did not come to test. It came to claim. They emerged like ghosts from the void, sleek, matte black vessels shaped like predatory wings. No lights, no insignia, no communication. The third fleet moved silently into orbit, surrounding both the Watchers and the Terran forces in a wide pincer. Unlike the graceful formations of the Watchers, or the disciplined lines of the vanguard, these newcomers floated like predators choosing their prey. On board Resolute Dawn, Admiral Jara's command bridge fell quiet. New signatures, 37 ships, unknown energy configuration. No registry, their drive signatures. They don't match anything, her XO said, voice taut. Jara stared. Put the fleet on full defense. Do not fire unless fired upon. In the Watcher formation, no changes came. The ring remained. The eye still pulsed, but now slower, as if considering. On the Valeni surface, Mira and Trell watched the projections flicker. They're ancient, Trell whispered, analyzing the newcomers' energy trails. These ships are older than our sun, older than Earth's wars. This isn't just another empire. It's a remnant. Finally, the claimant spoke. Their voice was a storm, transmitted through every surface, every mind. You broke the seal. You summoned the trial. You awakened us. A pause. Then, the relic belongs to the Accord of Three. One is lost, two remain, one may claim. What does that mean? Jara muttered, eyes narrowing. Trell replied through a joint comm link. It's arbitration. They're enforcing a forgotten pact. One of us will be chosen to keep the relic. But the others, Mira nodded slowly. must stand down or be erased. The Watchers responded in kind. The flame kind burned their rights. The echo was not theirs to summon. We oppose. And Jara, steel in her voice, transmitted the Terran stance. This technology was created by those who came before us, but we have protected its memory. If we cannot keep it, no one will. Silence fell. The eye brightened. The test was over. The judgment was about to begin. The stars above Valen darkened, not by eclipse but by presence. The eye's glow reached its zenith, and a column of light descended from the Watcher ring, enveloping the artifact within Mira's vessel. Trell gasped as data flooded the control systems. They're accessing it. No, they're awakening it. From orbit, each faction moved to react. Admiral Jara, hold position. Do not engage. We let them finish, then assert claim diplomatically. Watcher command, do not interfere. Violation will trigger the purge. Claimant fleet, we await the verdict, but if stolen, retribution will be final. In the energy column, the artifact cracked. Light bled from within as it reshaped. Holograms flickered to life. Worlds, languages, war. The voice that followed was ancient and multi-layered. We are the architects. This seal was our gift and our curse. One among you shall bear the echo. Only one. A moment later, the artifact split into 3 shards. Each floated toward a representative ship. To Resolute Dawn, Earth's legacy. To the Watcher Nexus, Guardians of Silence. To the Claimant flagship, the Forgotten Heirs. But before any could be claimed, a surge of energy burst from the artifact. Trell screamed, "It's testing again. It knows who is watching." The eye dimmed. A whisper echoed. The heart must choose, and it chooses not the fleet, but the flame reborn. The shard reversed direction toward the Valeni vessel. Toward Mira. All hell broke loose. Mira stood still as the shard hovered before her, glowing like the core of a sun. It pulsed in rhythm with her breath. Around her, the Valeni crew knelt, not in submission, but awe. Trell's voice trembled. It chose you, not Earth, not the Watchers, not the Claimants. You. The shard floated forward, merging with Mira's chest, not harming, but bonding. Light laced across her skin like ancestral tattoos. Her eyes lit with understanding far beyond her time. In orbit, chaos exploded. The Claimants launched. 2 of their vessels accelerated toward Mira's location, a declaration of challenge. Jara snapped to action. Engage defensive protocols. Protect the Valeni vessel. They're the key now. For the first time, Earth and the Watchers acted as one. Lasers lanced through space. Watcher drones spun webs of disruption. The Claimants broke ranks, but not before one ship breached Valen's upper atmosphere. But it never made impact. Mira raised her hand. Energy burst outward. The shard's power, now hers, projected a dome around the capital. The Claimant ship crumpled in the sky, harmlessly dispersed into flame and smoke. Silence fell. The architect's voice returned. Chosen, the flame reborn, guide of balance, bearer of remembrance. The accord is rewritten. All ships across the system powered down. Jara watched her console go dark, then relight with new coordinates. Trell wept. Mira stood taller. This isn't the end, she said, her voice resonating with the shard's power. It's the first chapter of who will become, together. Far above, the Watchers faded. The Claimants vanished. And Earth bowed, not in defeat, but in respect. What would you have done with the power of the architects? Comment your answer below. Like, subscribe, and share if you believe even the smallest voice can change the stars. Until next time, stay brave, seek truth, and remember, the signal was an accident, but the legacy is yours.